Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be talking about crafting and profession orders and basically everything you need to know about them. So everything from creating one if you are someone who's not interested in crafting, to completing one if you are someone who's interested in crafting, and patron work orders and just basically how it all works. So let's go. So we're going to start with placing a public work order or work orders in general, the different types and the benefits and how it works. So to place an order you need to find a crafting order merchant. You can find them inside Dornagal or a lot of major cities. They're 58, 56 in Dornagal, but you can also access the same radial menu from a crafting table. There are 4 types of order you can place. So if you are placing an order for gear or whatever you're placing the order for, you can place a public order. Public orders basically opens it to the floor. It makes it very competitive with pricing. Players will look to create the gear. You need to provide all the materials here, but also you have no control of the quality. Then you get personal work orders, which you can find here. Personal work orders are sent directly to the player. You don't need all of the reagents, so you don't have to provide, but you can provide, but you don't have to. Then, you get guild, similar to personal, except it opens up to your guild. Basically, it allows a combination of the public and the personal, because it's opening it up to your guild, but not necessarily a specific person. And then finally, we have patron work orders, but these are a different, basically system, and you can't use them to place a work order. So let's just recap super quickly. So public work orders, placing them. So basically there is a weekly limit to public orders. You can't just do them all the time. You do need to provide the materials and you cannot specify the quantity. For personal orders, you don't need to specify all of the materials. The quality can be specified, meaning they have to hit the quality marker, and you can obviously do them pretty much as you want. And then guild is a combination of both, so you can do them as much as you want. Quality can be specified, and you don't have to provide all the materials, just your spark, for example. So pretty straightforward. Once you have decided on which one you want, all you have to do is select what you are going to provide. If it's a public work order, you obviously have to provide everything. You can choose the quality of reagent as well if you are indicating what you're providing. I highly suggest this, as it will allow you to control the quality a little bit better. You can also add enchanted ruined harbinger crests if you want to improve the gear. You can also add missives if you want, embellishments, etc., which allows you to, generally speaking, create a better process. The optional reagents are always something I suggest you provide if you're wanting something super specific, especially if you can designate quality. It's a lot safer to do this with a guild or private order than it is to do it with a public order, as a public order has no guarantee for quality. So you can end up in a situation where you are, kind of stuck with the quality that's provided. So very, very important. In terms of recrafting your gear, so you can start a recrafting order by selecting the piece of gear that you have and providing the optional reagent for recraft. If you're someone who's looking to upgrade your gear, you will have to obviously provide that higher spec. And if you are doing it on a personal order or a guild order, it does not matter. You cannot publicly brand for recrafting. As far as I understand, recrafting is tied very much to only your guild and only personal order. So unfortunately, recrafting is not public based, but that is pretty much as good as it gets. So that should give you a good idea on how to place these orders. for example, I'm going to now place my Adrenal Surge class. The only things you really necessarily have to always provide is if it's not a public order, is the materials, but mainly it's going to be your crests and your sparks. These are super duper important. Your commission is also something important, and yeah, just basically watch what happens. So yeah, that's it for placing orders. So let's talk now about completing orders. So these are not going to include patron orders, although obviously there will be some crossover, but it is the inverse essentially of placing an order. So to complete orders, you're going to have to first go to your crafting area. So you need to find a crafting table for your specialization. Once you are there, you will then be able to click it, go down to crafting orders, and this will give you the various orders that are possible. As you can see, right off the bat, completing work orders has a limit. So for example, you can only fulfill a certain number of public orders per week. Guild orders have no limit in terms of completion, which is very, very important. Patron orders obviously are designated weekly, and then personal are obviously sent to you, and there are no limits. The important thing with guild and personal, much like with placing the order, quality requests can be made, and so completing that order is very, very difficult. If you are unable to meet that quality spec, you will not be allowed to complete the order. Okay, so let's take a look at completing a work order. We'll have to use a patron one for an example, but completing the work order is relatively simple. So for example, if we are essentially looking at crafting this item, let's say it's not for a patron, but we are looking at crafting it, it will indicate what you will need to provide via the yellow symbols, and it will indicate what the craftee has provided. So in the case of high level gear, they will be providing their spark, etc, etc. For public orders, they'll be providing everything. For non-public orders, obviously they will be providing a variation. So guild, private, they may not provide everything. You can then go source it if you want to. You will need to source quality that allows you to hit the quality marker that you have to hit. If you are obviously looking at crafting something, that is going to be the first primary sector. Secondly, beyond that, you have to apply finishing reagents necessary to bring yourself up to the quality requirement. You will be unable to finish it if you cannot meet the quality requirement of the the recipe. So let's talk about finishing an order. So let's just grab ourselves some supplies quickly. So we just need some supplies, and then basically we're just going to make super quick. So if we're starting a crafting order for something here, and essentially we are looking to complete it, the first thing we have to do is indicate that we want to start the order. So by clicking start the order, you will then have the ability to click complete. Now firstly, you have to make sure you have all the materials. If you don't, you will have to go source them. Most times it's fairly simple. They are making a patch that will let you access the materials directly from your wallbank, but for now we'll just grab them, and essentially once you have the materials, completing the order will then pop up. If you do not meet the quantity requirement, the button will not appear. So if you cannot guarantee gold, for example, that button will not appear. If you want to, you can apply a concentration for a boost, and this will enable you to have a pretty good time. But that's really honestly about it. It's actually a very simple system. Now obviously the main benefit, if you are someone completing private orders, guild orders, etc., is it allows you to gain knowledge. but it also allows you to gain gold, which is obviously great. And also it allows you to gain skill points without actively having to invest your own materials a lot of the time. So especially if you're like doing it for a guild, it's one of the better ways to obtain things like first crafts. It's one of the better ways to obtain essentially, knowledge, skill points, etc. And it's a very, very, very cool, simple system. It seems a bit daunting, but in reality, it's actually quite simple. And then finally, let's talk about patron orders. So obviously, you will have noticed that I used a patron order for like the showcase of how to complete them. But there is something very important to understand when it comes to patron orders. So patron orders are slightly different in a couple ways. So firstly, we're just going to cancel this one for now. Okay, but patron orders have various different types that you can get per week. Patron orders also do have a quality requirement, unlike essentially unlike basically public orders. So you have to meet the quality requirement. So let's take the spelunking goggles that I was able to craft. I will see that I will get knowledge as a reward. So you can get glimmers of knowledge, or you can get flickers of knowledge. The more difficult the craft, the more likely you are to get a glimmer of knowledge. That's not the only one you can get. You also get a couple other great rewards, such as artisan security, which is very, very important. You can also get an apprentice crafting license or other really helpful items, like finishing crafting reagents like unraveled instructions, which will increase your skill, etc., etc. And you also get consortium payouts. So basically, you can get certain ones like this one here. This one will give you a consortium's payout. The consortium's payout contains a small amount of reagents. So this can be a great way to get rare reagents. The rarity of it is indicated by the recipe. On top of that as well, something that's very important is it contains reagents for professions that cannot be your own. So you could potentially gain reagents for professions you don't partake in on this character. Completing the patron order functions the exact same way as completing an order for any other person. The only difference is you have a time limit here, which is obviously a bit of a shame. And of course, you have to meet the quality requirement. Exceeding the quality, as far as I understand, does not make any difference, essentially. So it doesn't make any major difference from what I understand. There is no necessity for finishing with a higher rarity. Once you've done that and you click submit, you'll create the item, submit it, and then you can go complete order. Once you've done that, you will then get a message from the Artisans Consortium giving you some valuable items. Now, something that's super important as well, okay, when it comes to these, is that you only have a set number per week. So it's very important as well that if you are looking to completing a couple of these, make sure that you finish them pretty much every week, as it gives you a lot of great rewards and you don't want to miss out on those. So yeah, so you'll definitely want to collect your rewards from obviously the vendor, but on top of that as well, you want to make sure that you have taken your weekly quest from Kayla Clayhoof inside obviously Donegal, and this allows you to get yourself some additional knowledge. So definitely take a look at that. It's just something you very clearly want to do. One thing that's super important for crafting orders, and it's just something that I think a lot of players maybe don't know, is the Ogari Treaty. So especially if it comes to crafting, basically there is a special item called a treatise, and you can only use this once per week, but you can get it crafted for every single one of your professions. And it only gives you one knowledge, but it's a weekly cooldown, and it's a great way to stock up on knowledge. What you have to do is provide the materials. You can provide a very cheap public order fee. Inscription providers can make them, and it's very, very simple to use, and I highly suggest doing it. So yeah, that's it for crafting orders. Honestly, very simple system, very beneficial. I hope this has provided a bit of clarity on the system, and I hope you know how to use it a bit better. But that's it from me. Bye.